If Pan sure couldn't hold it back, then Long Fei couldn't hold it in any longer. If Pan sure couldn't hold it back, then Long Fei couldn't hold it in any longer. A voice rang out. Long Fei then rose from the ground and instantly landed on the stage. Pan Shure's eyes were filled with anger. The immortal foundation on his body started to surge. He moved his feet, and a gold light appeared on his fist. Gold-shattering fist. This kid is dead for sure. One punch, and he'll be killed instantly. Pan Shure's cultivation is from the peak realm of the spiritual immortal, and his power is too strong. It's dead for sure. Arrogant? Don't you know who he is? That's the Pan clan, the ancient family. Xiao Qianwu smiled faintly. Someone from the Long family? In the next second, there might not be any more Long family people left. In his opinion, Long Fei was definitely going to die. Forget about the suppression by realm, just the power of the shattered gold on Pan Shure's fist was something that Long Fei could not withstand. If he was struck by it, all the tendons in his body would definitely be broken. He couldn't stop it. Not at all. All the elders thought that Long Fei would not be able to withstand this punch. Pan Shure laughed crazily and said, "You little bastard, go and die for me." Long Fei's eyes raised slightly and said, "Fist, right?" His right arm sank. Buzz. The lightning celestial root moved, and crackling sounds of thunder rang out from his arm. Buzz. The power of the golden dragon arm was released. Under his sleeve, a golden dragon tattoo of a small golden dragon appeared on Long Fei's arm. Buzz. With a move of the killing thought in Long Fei's mind, the power of killing path started to surge and directly superimposed onto his right arm. And then, Long Fei roared in his heart, "Rank 5 unparalleled." Boom! Under the stimulation of the unparalleled attribute, the 3 types of powers became extremely terrifying. Looking at the incoming fist of Pan Shure, Long Fei's right arm moved. He clenched his fist. Wang! His strength exploded out as his fist heavily collided with the other party's fist. Rumble! The 2 fists clashed, and with a loud sound, the strong strength stripes shot out explosively. Long Fei's body slightly sank and retreated a few steps. The instant his body steadied. Moonlit step. Whoosh! Falling into the air, a fist of the same strength struck down. The first punch caused Pan Shure's arm to be blown away, but before he could land on the ground, Long Fei's second punch struck him. Pan Shure bellowed, "Am I afraid of you?" Not waiting for him to finish. Bam! His fist cracked open, and his body heavily crashed down. Shadow Shifter, activate! Shwa! Long Fei landed below him. Not waiting for him to land on the ground, his right fist exploded out, smashing his fist upwards, once again sending Pan Shure flying into the air. Whoosh! Long Fei's figure once again flew into the air. This time, he punched out with both of his fists, and his fists were like a violent storm as they violently struck out. "You want to touch my people? With just you? You're just a bullsh *T Pan clan master. If you provoke me, I will die." Bang, 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 bang. The fist went berserk, smashing straight into Pan Shure's chest. His chest split, his ribs broken, while Pan Shure continuously spat out blood, as he was completely unable to withstand Long Fei's perverted attack. Bang! From midair to stage, in a few seconds, Long Fei had sent out tens of thousands of punches. Boom! Pan Shure smashed onto the ground. Both of Long Fei's fists exploded, and with Vajra possession in his body, the violent ape's fists smashed down, heavily, smashing right into Pan Shure's head. It roared out in its heart, "Explode for me!" Crack! Rumble! The sound of power rumbled through the air, extremely violent. When the last bit of health point above Pan Shi's head fell to the bottom, his body spasmed a few times before becoming stiff. It was also at this time the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Pan Shi for obtaining 300 experience, 200 power of celestial, and 100 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Thin Pan Gu bloodline. You wish to fuse them? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Gold Shattering Fist. Do you wish to learn it? The system sounded out continuously. Thin Pan Gu bloodline. When Long Fei heard these words, his mind trembled, and he thought to himself, as expected, the Pan family is indeed a descendant of Pan Gu, and they actually have Pan Gu bloodline in their bodies. At first, he was only guessing. Now, the blood vein had already been revealed, so there was no doubt that the sky-separating clan's Pan family was a descendant of Pangu. The sparse Pangu bloodline have no interest. Killing this kind of disciple would result in the release of a thin Pangu bloodline. What if it's that boss? The image of Panjan appeared in Long Fei's mind. The golden light from his body stimulated his nerves. Wait! Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he looked at the shocked people below the stage. He looked at the disciples of the Pan family and coldly said, "Next!" Insolent to the point of being a complete mess. He had to torture and kill Pan Shi. Too fierce. Xiao Qianwu also did not expect that. His face was slightly pale. Yesterday, Pan Xian died, and Pan Zhan's fury was raging. Xiao Qianwu shouted, "Long Fei, the sparring is already over. Why do you want to kill?" Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Principal Xiao, if I was killed, I'm afraid you wouldn't be this angry, right?" Humph. And then Long Fei did not care about Xiao Qianwu at all and looked at the elite disciples of the Pan family and said, "Are you going to attack together or one at a time?" "I think it would be best for all of you to attack together. Otherwise, you will die too quickly." His purpose for coming to the ranking tournament today was to kill. Nobody can stop him. Even if Zhang Tianai was here, she wouldn't be able to stop him. The tendons in Zhou Lian's arms and legs had been broken, and his brain was injured. He probably wouldn't be able to refine any more artifacts in this lifetime, and this was even worse than killing him. Since he liked to play, he might as well play it big. Moreover, what were the game's settings? First, he killed a small Fry Luo, then he fought his way through, and finally, he killed the boss. If he killed all these disciples of the Pan clan, would Pan Zhan be able to hold it in? Naturally, he had to make a move against him. At that time, Long Fei would disregard everything and kill him because he wanted to reveal his Pangu bloodline. Too much to say that he wanted to reveal his Pangu axe. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 figures flew up, and 2 swords struck at Xiang Longfei. "Brat, give me your life." His figure was like lightning, his sword techniques had countless changes, and in a short moment, he had sealed Long Fei. Sword art. All right, then let's start with the sword. 1. When the devil sword landed in Long Fei's hand, the devil flame and the killing intent emitted by the killing thought fused together. Boom! A powerful sword intent burst out, and with a step, Long Fei rushed forward. The devil's sword flashed with a bright light, and a few cracks seemed to appear in the air. The 2 swords fell. The 2 heads landed on the ground. Long Fei pointed his sword, looked at the Pan family disciple, and said coldly, "Next." Crazy. Table of contents equals semi/floating life plus. The scalps of the disciples and elders from the God Emperor Academy all went numb. More and more disciples rushed forward, but they were all killed by Long Fei. He was about to die. Long Fei thought, the boss should be coming out soon, right? In the second chapter, I'll update 2 chapters in the morning. In the afternoon, When I find the time, the sea will also update. The hospital has determined that it is pneumonia. The hospital is estimated to take a week. This time the update time may be very chaotic. Sorry. 8_8419/2357072. One going die. One going die. In a group, one would still die. The more Long Fei killed, the fiercer he became. If you provoke me, I will kill you too. One by one, the disciples of the Pan clan were beheaded as a series of notifications sounded. The items that were dropped were all swallowed by the Yen Huang ancestor. Half an hour later, the nine disciples of the Pan clan were all beheaded, and corpses littered both the stage and below. The dragon salyer in Long Fei's hands dripped with blood. With a sweep of the dragon blade, he roared out, "Fuck, I'm just asking, who else is there?" Extreme arrogance. Just like an angry lion, anyone who offended him would die. Stunned, the elders from the God Emperor Academy were shocked, and the examinees were all shocked as well. They were shocked by the wild killing intent coming from Long Fei, and were shocked by his craziness as well. Is he even human? Madman, it must be a madman. This man must be crazy. I'll withdraw. I don't want to fight any ranking battles anymore. The Pan family of the sky-separating clan. It could be said that no one dared to offend them. Even the principal of the God Emperor Academy. And the elders did not put them in their eyes. But so what? Wasn't it all killed by Long Fei? Wasn't the Pan clan extremely powerful, very arrogant? All of them were so high and mighty, still killed. However, what made Long Fei surprised was that the boss Pan Zhan did not appear. Not a single one of the Pan family elders appeared. This was something he could not understand. By all reasoning, once all of the minions were killed, it should be the boss' turn to come on stage. However, none of them appeared. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "Damn, why is there no boss?" However, Pan Zhan never thought that the Pan family would actually have over 90 disciples that were unable to handle a single Long Fei. What they did not expect was that Long Fei had actually killed all 99 disciples of the Pan clan, leaving not a single one alive. Who would have thought? How dare you attack the Pan clan at such a time? A weak Long Fei. Pan Zhan really did not place Long Fei in his eyes, but just because he did not put him in his eyes, Long Fei was overturning the heavens. At this moment, Xiao Qian was startled and shouted, "Long Fei, are you crazy?" His furious roar woke up everyone in martial arts arena, and also woke up Fu Xishan and the others who had rushed over to the place they had been standing for 20 minutes. Many people's faces were filled with fear and did not dare to look straight at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at Xiao Qianwu and said, "Principal Xiao, how am I crazy?" Xiao Qianwu shouted, "Do you know who they are? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know how many people you just killed? A person like you has no right to join the God Emperor Academy." The few elders were also exceptionally angry because Long Fei was too cruel. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up into a faint smile. "Principal Xiao, it's you who said that there would inevitably be casualties during a fist and foot fight. It's just that all of them died due to bad luck." "You," Xiao Qianwu's gaze tensed up as he stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you had the protection of the previous headmaster. Let's see how you handle this matter. Brat, you have to know how to be arrogant. You're not being arrogant. You're courting death." Very angry. However, Xiao Qianwu was sneering in his heart, "Stupid brat. The people of Long family were all this retarded, yet they still wanted to rise? It's simply a joke." Sure, he killed so many Pan clan disciples today. The people from the Pan clan definitely won't let him off so easily. I won't have to do anything then. Long Fei grinned and said, Principal Xiao, I won't trouble you with your judgment on whether I'm arrogant or courting death. I only have one question now. Who the hell still wants to challenge me? Didn't you all laugh very happily just now? Come on up now. Principal Xiao shouted loudly. Impudent! Long Fei is in the God Emperor Academy's assessment grounds, not your South Horizon region. This place is not for you to decide. Now, as the principal of God Emperor Academy, I declare that you have been expelled from God Emperor Academy. You are no longer a student of God Emperor Academy. Xiao Qianwu expelled Long Fei from the God Emperor Academy, giving the Pan clan more opportunities. But at this moment, the sky darkened as an order was given. Who gave you the right? Buzz. A figure descended, wearing black robes with bloodshot eyes. The aura being emitted from his body was one that only Long Fei could sense. Killing intent. A thick killing intent. It was even stronger than the killing intent emitted by his killing thought by more than 10,000 times. Zhang Tianai, who was filled with killing intent. Long Fei secretly thought, just what happened? What had made an uncle as stable as a mountain into such a violent and murderous person? What had happened? Long Fei thought back to the look in Pan Zhan's eyes when he left yesterday, and his heart sank. Could it be that the Pan clan has also taken action against the close relatives of the principal? Right. Long Fei immediately asked, Ancestor, can you feel Qiu Wandao's aura? Yan Huang Ancestor replied, No. Qiu Wandao had always been protecting him in secret, and would usually be in secret. However, he could not feel it right now, as Long Fei had a bad premonition in his heart. Qiu Wandao was in trouble. Xiao Qianwu's expression changed slightly as he looked at Zhang Tianai and said respectfully, Great Principal, Long Fei's massacre was too heavy. The 99 disciples of the Pan family were all killed by him, and even I am unable to stop him. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Zhang Tianai glared at the corpses around the stage and shouted, Good kill! As soon as his voice faded, the entire arena was shocked. The ruthless killing intent on his body was also released. Xiao Qianwu's mind shook violently and almost knelt down in fear. Seeing Zhang Tianya's expression, Long Fei was even more certain that something big had happened. The aura in Zhang Tianya's heart stirred, and he suddenly roared, Pan Zhan, get the hell out here. Rumble. The sound was so loud that it reached into the sky, and the sky instantly exploded. Rumble. Zhang Tianya's voice directly covered half of the God Emperor city and spread out like rolling thunder. He was furious, completely enraged. On the streets of God Emperor city, many people looked up at the sky and muttered, What happened? It came from the bottom of the divine Emperor Mountain. Who's being crazy? What a strong killing intent, God Emperor city, in a unique and elegant garden. Pan Zhan raised his eyes, slightly looked at the sky, and laughed disdainfully. This is what happens when you go against the Pan clan. Zhang Tianai? Humph, like a stray dog. It was also at this time. A disciple rushed into the courtyard in a panic. The first elder is in trouble. Baidu's sister-in-law, a half. Floating life, strongest upgrade system, Pan Zhan frowned. What's wrong? The disciple asked. Pan sure is dead. Pan Zhan's expression changed slightly as he asked. Dead? That disciple said. Not only him. All 99 of the Pan family's elite disciples have all died. All of them died by Long Fei's hands. Chapter 38_8419/23577073. If Pan Zhan was an explosive. If Pan Zhan was an explosive, So now he had been set on fire. All 99 of their elite disciples were killed. The anger on Panjon's body started to burn up, and the surrounding vegetation started to wither rapidly. His strength was simply too terrifying. Then, the disciple kneeled on the ground and trembled. His entire body was twitching, the power of Celestial on his body was crazily being absorbed, and he said with difficulty, "Great Clan Elder, Great Clan Elder, Great Clan Elder." Panjon roared angrily, and then flew into the sky. "Long Fei, you little bastard, today I will kill you." Whoosh! With a flash of light, he flew towards the foot of the Divine Emperor's mountain. At this moment, martial arts arena, Long Fei asked, "Great Principal, where is old Xiao? Have you seen him?" Zhang Tianai shook his head and said, "He's in a small cove in the middle of the God Emperor Mountain. Go look for him yourself." His heart was filled with grief, and he was unable to speak. As for how Qiu Wandao was feeling now, he did not care. He was just like how Long Fei was feeling this morning. He just wanted to kill him. Long Fei did not speak further, and immediately rushed out of the courtyard. "Boss, young Master Long." Man Tuolyuo and the rest immediately chased after him. "Old Qiu, don't let anything happen to him." The ominous premonition in Long Fei's heart grew stronger and stronger. He really did not have many friends in the immortal domain. Other than Fatty Chun, Man Tuolyuo, Xiao Ying, and Fu Shishan, who were by his side, there was only Zhou Lian who still had him as his master. There was also Qiu Wandao who was protecting him in the dark, willing to die for him. When something happened to Zhou Lian, the Pan family was targeting Long Fei. However, if something happened to Zhang Tianai, then it would be terrible, and judging from his grief, it seemed like something big had happened to his family. Since he could make a move on Zhang Tianai, then he could make a move on Qiu Wandao. "Old Qiu, don't let anything happen to him." In the cove, Qiu Wandao leaned on the stairs and looked at the sky. His body was extremely weak. He could not even stand up. All the meridians in his body were shattered, and his cultivation was so low. Right now, he was even more of a trash than an ordinary person. As a martial artist, there was no point in living now. Not to mention, the reason he lived was to repay the grace that the Long family had shown him. Now that his cultivation was gone, he could no longer cultivate. There was no point in living on. "Old ghost, the sunlight today is really good." The green-robed old man looked at the sky and laughed. His face was pale like Qiu Wandao's. "I don't know how many years it's been since I've seen the sun like this. It's so damn dazzling. Ha ha ha." Qiu Wandao also laughed and said, "Old Luo, see you in your next life. Ha ha ha. We'll definitely meet again in the next life. In this life." Sigh. The elder let out a long sigh and said, "It's just that we can't complete the mission that Master had given us." Qiu Wandao's expression dimmed and said, "Long family's little master will definitely succeed. He has an unswerving determination to stand out from the masses. He will definitely bring Long family to the peak of the world, and he will definitely find the dragon domain, the secret behind the disappearance of the dragon race, and the secret behind the disappearance of the strong warriors of Long family. He. I can also find him, but we won't be able to see him." The old man in green smiled. They really wanted to see the rise of the Long family, but now he could no longer see it. They didn't go to heal their wounds. They had healing pills on them, but they didn't use them because they wanted to die. Without power, being able to help Long Fei would only be a burden. He would be crazy for most of his life. He couldn't possibly be stepped on and unable to get up, right? They didn't want to. And then again, they felt that they were too weak and couldn't even deal with the elders of the Pan clan. They were still unable to protect young Master Long Fei. In that case, was there a need to live? In their eyes, no. The two of them looked at the sky and laughed as they looked at the dazzling sun. Not here. It's not here either. Ancestor, did you sense it? There's no trace of their auras at all. If they were in the God Emperor Mountain with my current ability, I would have been able to sense them, but I couldn't sense any trace of their auras at all. Yen Huang Ancestor was very depressed. He was full of confidence in his soul, remembrance. Only warriors, as long as his body emitted the aura of a warrior, the Yen Huang Ancestor would be able to feel it. However, after half an hour, he still hadn't felt anything. The God Emperor Mountain was too big. There was a valley everywhere. Where was this small valley? Long Fei was going crazy. Old Xiao, where are you? Long Fei shouted loudly. In the woods. A few official disciples of the God Emperor Academy rushed out and shouted while looking at Long Fei, "Who are you people? Make a ruckus here. Do you know where we are?" Tianfei shouted, "I don't care where you are. Scram to the side." "Humph, I think you're tired of living." A disciple opened his eyes wide. A mere spiritual level dares to be so impudent here. At this moment, Long Fei's figure moved, and the golden dragon in his hand exploded. He immediately pulled the collar of the disciple who had just spoken and asked solemnly, "Do you know where Qiu Wandao lives?" "Don't talk nonsense with Laozi." Long Fei's eyes were incomparably terrifying, and that official disciple almost peed his pants in fright. He had never seen such a terrifying gaze in his entire life, and tremblingly said, as soon as his voice fell, Long Fei had already disappeared. At this time, Tianfei followed behind. That disciple sat paralyzed on the ground, unable to recover from the shock. It was too terrifying. "There's a small courtyard ahead." Man Tuoluo pointed to the front and shouted, and then Long Fei ran frantically, rushing into the courtyard, only to see Qiu Wandao and another old man dying. The courtyard was in a mess. Their bodies were full of injuries. Long Fei's heart immediately sank. He rushed forward and said, "Old Qiu." The expression in Qiu Wandao's eyes slightly moved, and he looked at Long Fei with a light smile. "Young master, why have you come?" The old man's voice became heavy. "All the meridians in their bodies have been broken, and their cultivation bases are intact. Their power has dissipated, and they will never recover." Cluck, cluck, cluck. Long Fei gritted his teeth and roared furiously in his heart, "Pan family, fuck your ancestors." At the same time, rumble. The martial arts arena S of the assessment department let out a loud sound. A figure dropped from the sky and bellowed, "Long Fei, you little bastard, get out here to die." He was furious, and his killing intent was dense. Equals half carrot float hashtag life carrot. Looking at the Pan clan disciples' corpses that surrounded the stage, Pan Zhan was even more furious. However, right at this moment, the killing intent of the other person immediately ignited, exploding out like a bomb. Zhang Tianai stared at Pan Zhan and said sinisterly, "Pan Zhan." Chapter 4. Today, there should be only 4 chapters. In addition to the 2 chapters 1 OG yesterday, I owe a total of 3 chapters to Hai Yang. I'll keep that in my notebook. 8_8419/2357074. Anger was burning. Anger was burning. Killing intent burned. Zhang Tianai let out a furious roar as all the strength in his body exploded outwards, and he pounced forward like a mad wolf. Savage. Killing intent soared to the heavens. Everyone was shocked. What had happened to the headmaster? Normally, no matter how big of a matter he encountered, he would not be this angry. What was going on with him? No one knew. The elders of the God Emperor Academy were all at a loss, unable to react. The other examinees followed suit. They were forced to retreat by the powerful aura. Pan Zhan turned his head and looked at Zhang Tianai, who was pouncing towards him. His expression turned sinister as he shouted, "Zhang Tianai, die for me!" With a wave of his right hand, a huge axe appeared in his palm. The moment Zhang Tianai landed, he swung the axe in his hand, slashing it down. Crash! With a loud sound, the sky trembled and space distorted. Pangu axe, the ancient holy artifact of the Tianwu continent. Heavens, the power of this axe is too great. The surrounding examinees could not withstand the impact of this kind of force and were flipped over. They lay prostrate on the ground as their skin moved, and their mind felt as if it would explode at any time. It was extremely uncomfortable. Zhang Tianya's eyes turned sinister. He did not dodge, and instead rushed forward even more fiercely. He was ready to throw caution to the wind. No matter what, he wanted to take revenge for his family. At the same time, the Pangu axe released its powerful energy. In a secret room in the outer space palace, Pan Sheng's eyes suddenly opened. The Pangu sword beside him began to tremble. The sword could feel the fluctuations of the Pangu axe's power. The stronger it became, the more it trembled. Did something happen to the Pan family? Pan Sheng's heart tensed. At this time, he could not care about cultivating, and immediately flew out. The heavenly hall of immortals. Many clan elders felt that it was a hall of immortals. What happened? Why are there such powerful energy waves? What happened to the God Emperor Academy? When two strong warriors fight, these two are at least golden immortal rank. Outer Space Palace also felt the battle between the two golden immortal experts. There were not many experts in the Sky Martial Continent that had reached the golden immortal rank. If they were to fight with all their might, their energy undulations would spread out to millions of kilometers, and the experts of Outer Space Palace would naturally be able to sense it in an instant. At this moment, Supreme God landed on top of Hall of Immortals and asked gently, "Has Star Spirit Messenger returned yet?" "Report." A stream of light flashed down and said, "Reporting to Supreme God, it is the fight between the Pan Clan's great elder Panzhan and the God Emperor Academy's principal Zhang Tianai, and a fight to the death." "Huh." Supreme God frowned. "How did the two of them start fighting?" "Still a battle to the death." "What happened?" The Star Spirit Messenger replied, "This subordinate has not found anything yet. However, looking at how furious the two of them are, there should be a huge amount of hatred between them." The clan elders of the Hall of Immortals started to discuss softly. "This Zhang Tianai doesn't know how to react. He's the principal of the God Emperor Academy. Why did he start fighting with the Pan family? Is it also for the assessment? Just what exactly is going on with this year's God Emperor Academy assessment? Supreme God, they are golden immortal realm experts. If we keep fighting, the God Emperor city will be destroyed. We have to go and stop them." It was also at this time Pan Sheng walked into the hall and knelt down. Disciple greets master. The center of Supreme God's brows twitched as he looked at Pan Sheng and asked, "Why did you come out? Didn't I ask you to go into seclusion to cultivate?" Pan Sheng did not know about what had happened in such a short period of time. Pan Sheng said, "I sensed the energy fluctuation of the Pan family holy artifact, so I came to ask if you would allow me. I wish to go down to take a look." He wanted to see who dared to oppose the Pan clan. He wanted to crush him to death. Supreme God did not answer immediately, even though Supreme God didn't know why Zhang Tianai and Panzhan were fighting, but he was sure that this matter was related to Long Fei. Something must not happen to Long Fei. At the very least, until he finds the dragon domain, nothing can happen to him. The Supreme God tensed up. only the people from the Long family could find the dragon race. This was a prophecy passed down by their ancestors. There was no mistake. Long Zhanting failed. The only person from the immortal domain was Long Fei. Moreover, Long Fei had condensed a Tao heart and was incomparably resolute. Long Fei was the last trace of hope in the Dragon Clan's secret treasure. It was his hope and also his master's hope. If he wanted to pursue the highest level and break through the shackles of the Dragon Clan, then he must obtain the secret treasure of the Dragon Clan. Long Fei cannot die. So did the Pan family. Pan Sheng was a demon slayer. He needed to borrow the Pan family's power to deal with the giant demons. In addition, Long Fei had to be suppressed by the Pan family, and only all sorts of difficulties could allow a person to break through quickly. Thus, the Pan clan, Long Fei, needed balance. Thinking of this, Supreme God raised his eyes and said faintly, "I'll go with you in another place, inside Qiu Wandao's courtyard. Ancestor, do you have a way?" Long Fei asked. Qiu Wandao and the old man's injuries were heavy, and the injuries on their bodies were easy to deal with. The key issue was whether or not their cultivation could recover. Yan Huang Ancestor slightly said, "There is indeed a way to do it, but I'm afraid that they won't be able to endure that kind of pain." Breaking and then erecting? Hope ignited in Long Fei's heart, and he immediately said, "Letting them live like this is worse than dying. They definitely can." And then Long Fei walked to Qiu Wandao's side and said, "Old Qiu, I have a way to help you recover your cultivation, but this is extremely painful. Can you guys withstand it?" The two of them were instantly dumbfounded. Qiu Wandao looked at Long Fei and said, "You have a way?" "Impossible. This is impossible. Our veins have shattered and our cultivation has completely dissipated. There is no longer any way to recover it." He was the principal of the God Emperor Academy. If he had a way, he wouldn't want to die. Seeing the look in Long Fei's eyes, Qiu Wandao faintly said, "Long Fei, you don't have to comfort us. We are already crippled. It would be better to die than to live." Long Fei said, "Old Qiu, I really didn't lie to you. I really have a way." "Who is the Yan Huang ancestor?" He was an expert of the Chaos Realm, and he had more knowledge than Qiu Wandao. "Nothing," Fatty Chen said anxiously. "If boss says so, so be it. He definitely won't lie to you guys. If you can't recover by then, it won't be too late for you to die." Xiaoing stared at him and said, "What are you saying?" Qiu Wandao and the old man looked at each other, took a deep breath, and said, "All right, let's begin." Long Fei also said to the Yan Huang ancestor, "Ancestor, let's begin." The Yan Huang ancestor said, "It's still not enough. We still need a few more things to do. Their tendons have all been broken, so we must reconnect them first." Baidu's search, half afloat at this moment. A loud sound echoed in the sky. The Yan Huang ancestor trembled and said, "The aura of the Pan Guax." Long Fei raised his eyes. "Has the boss appeared yet?" Chapter 18_19/23570075. F asterisk CK. F asterisk CK. What's the point of living alive if we don't kill the boss? Long Fei cursed in his heart. Immediately, Long Fei said to Man Tuoluo and Fatty Chun, "You three, stand guard here. Remember, you must not let anything happen to them." He was worried that Qiu Wandao would live a peaceful life after he left. Since the ancestor said there was a way to save them, then there must be a way. The Yin Huang ancestor wouldn't lie to him, and there was no need to lie to him. Man Tuoluo immediately asked, "Where are you going?" Long Fei smirked and said, "I'm going to do something important. Wait for me here." As soon as he finished, whoosh, Long Fei ran frantically. Qiu Wandao looked at the sky and continuously buzzed. "Such a powerful aura. I am afraid two strong warriors are fighting right." The elder in Cyan spoke up. "You don't have to worry about it now. There is no point in worrying about it. We are just trash now. There is nothing we can do." Qiu Wandao saw Long Fei's assured disappearance and muttered to himself, "It would be great if Master came out from closed-door cultivation." The old man's eyebrows twitched. In his heart, he hoped that Master would come out, because if that happened, the Pan clan would not be able to bully Long Fei. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The two powerful forces continued to collide and repel each other, as if destroying the heavens and the earth. The power of the golden immortal rank was just too strong. In addition, the destructive power of the fusion with the immortal foundation was extremely strong. The examination hall at the foot of the mountain was already in a complete mess as countless towering trees were uprooted from the ground. The elders of the God Emperor Academy continued to retreat explosively. The examinees had already retreated several dozen kilometers, but even so, they still could not withstand the pressure. Zhang Tianai risked his life. Pan Zhan was the same as well. He could not contain his anger over the death of the Pan family's elite disciple. Several Pan clan elders rushed forward in a flash, its surrounding of a Pan attacking Zhang Tianai. The great clan elder is fighting with an expert, angry in his heart, in the direction and barely managed to tie with Pan Zhan. However, all disciples of the Pan now that there were two more elders of the Golden Immortal rank, support them. He was instantly at a disadvantage. The highest elder. Bam! Half of God Emperor's hit on the back, was enveloped by this powerful battle spat out a mouthful and the people of God Emperor's city and his body sank down looking up at the sky. At this moment, battle between the back of the Pan Golden Immortal rank was like the end of the world. The experts it directly struck Zhang rushed into the sky in streaks of light. The defense of the air shield on his body shattered. Elders as well as his ribs were broken. Who flew down the mountain, also sent all of a sudden, smashing all the rank towering trees God Emperor's city consecutively were caught as his body 10 minutes smashed. The first batch of elders arrived. To dare oppose the Pan clan out of Zhang Tianai as the anger in his eyes did not decrease in the slightest. His killing intent did not decrease in the slightest as he clenched his fist. A few elders from the God Emperor Academy all flew over and asked, "Elder Pan, is there a misunderstanding here? Stop fighting." They stopped him a little. However, Pan Zhan suddenly roared. He glared and bellowed, "If you dare to stop me, you will be going against my Pan clan. If you go against my Pan clan, there will only be one outcome for you. That is, die." With that said, Pan Zhan stared coldly at them and asked, "Do you want to go against my Pan clan?" The few clan elders' expressions turned cold, looking at Pan Zhan. Their hearts trembled as they said, "We do not wish to go against the Pan clan, but we hope that you can," not waiting for him to finish. The Pan Guax in Pan Zhan's hands moved, and a powerful force immediately forced them to retreat. It shouted, "If you don't want to die, then scram to the side." Then, the heaven-splitting axe pointed at Zhang Tianai, who was in the distance, and said, "Zhang Tianai, you truly take yourself seriously. In my eyes, you are nothing. Kill them all." Two more Pan clan elders flew into the air and joined the encirclement. Blood gushed out from the wound on Zhang Tianya's waist, and he continuously spat out blood. He looked at Pan Zhan and roared angrily, "I will be irreconcilable with your Pan clan. Come on!" Whoosh! Zhang Tianyi rushed forward with an extremely fast speed. Pan Zhan laughed coldly and said, "You are irreconcilable with my Pan family? Zhang Tianyi, who do you think you are? You don't even have the qualifications to fight against me. Go to hell." The 5 elders rushed forward together. The faces of the elders from the God Emperor Academy sunk. None of them dared to go forward to stop them, much less make an enemy out of the Pan clan, because they were afraid. Because the Pan family was simply too powerful. They were scared to death. Zhang Tianyi had been the principal for many years, and among these elders and principals, some were because of him. Some were even his disciples, but no one dared to step forward. No one dared. Facing the combined attacks of 5 clan elders, they all knew clearly in their hearts that Zhang Tianyi was definitely going to die. From the moment Zhang Tianyi attacked Pan Zhan, he never thought of living. His wife, his daughter, son, and his old mother were all dead. All his loved ones were dead. What was the point of him living? Ah! Zhang Tianyi rushed forward and roared, "Come!" The 5 of them descended, throwing their attacks at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. 5 loud bangs. High up in the air, Zhang Tianyi was struck down heavily, smashing onto the ground. A deep crater formed on the ground, as Zhang Tianyi's entire body felt like it was splitting apart, feeling incomparable discomfort. Looking at the high and mighty Pan Zhan in the sky, Zhang Tianyi's heart was in a state of deathly stillness. "Mother is sorry. Fang is sorry. Yun, I am sorry. I am the useless one. I cannot avenge all of you. I am sorry. Daddy will be coming down soon to accompany you." There was no more power in his body. He could no longer fight back. Pan Zhan laughed coldly. "You can't even take a single blow. How can a trash like you be qualified to be the principal of the God Emperor Academy? Ha ha ha. Trash. Die. Equals half-carat float. Hashtag health-/. With a shout, the Pan-Gu axe slashed down, and an incomparably strong force came crushing down. Zhang Tianyi closed his eyes and smiled. "I'm here." It was also at this time. A figure rushed out from the forest and stood beside Zhang Tianyi. With his right hand extended out, the dragon Salyar descended and roared in his heart, "Ancestor of Dark Dragon God, borrow some strength." Chapter 28_8419/2357076. Boom, 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 boom. Inside the dragon Salyar, Ancestor of Dark Dragon God's eyes slightly opened as he released his strong dragon power. The dragon Salyar began to tremble. At this time, Long Fei's arms moved, and the power of the metal dragon was released. Pan Zhan looked at Long Fei, who had suddenly appeared, and his anger surged. "Bastard, you go and die too." The Pan-Gu axe's strength became even more powerful. With a chi-la sound, the sky seemed to have been cut open. The power on the axe transformed into a huge half-moon beheader as it slashed down. Zhang Tianyi looked at Long Fei and said, "Brat, quickly get out of the way." Long Fei held onto the dragon Salyar tightly with both hands and watched the Pan-Gu axe that was chopping down from the sky. "Ah!" Long Fei roared out. The sound of his roar grew stronger and stronger, more and more berserk, and finally he roared, "Killing God Chop." He raised the saber with both hands and met the blow head on. Roar! Roar! A gigantic dragon roar sounded out in the air, and the image of a dark dragon god rushed out, facing the ancient holy artifact of the Sky Martial Continent and letting out a furious roar. The sinister dark dragon god stared deadly at Pan Zhan with his 2 huge eyes. Too terrifying, too ferocious. Pan Zhan's mind was trembling, and his body was also trembling. His two eyes glared at him. So what if you're a dragon? The current sky-separating clan can't stop anyone. Die. Rumble. He increased his strength by another level and slashed downwards. The killing god chop-s that were released from the dragon salyer also rushed forward. The moment the two powers interweaved, the sky suddenly darkened. It was as if all the light had been absorbed. And finally, Pan Zhan forcefully suppressed the raging chi in his body. The idea moved and shouted. Rumble. Kill him, no matter the cost. Energy shockwaves exploded like a nuclear bomb, escape. Shooting out one after another. Surged all the trees within 1,000 meters radius would not give Long Fei even the slightest of chances, forming a powerful hurricane that swept out. The four of them moved at the same time. Pan Zhan consecutively retreated. It could be said that Long Fei used and all of his strength in his chest, and adding the power, his right hand had been cut open, and blood was dripping down. Of Golden Dragon Master. He couldn't bear it. Only then did he use his level of strength. The spiritual level has such a powerful strength. Unable to kill Pan Zhan. This brat must not be allowed to live. The cultivation of the golden immortal rank, the long family of the past, was too unshakable power to sky-separating Pan Zhan's blood was boiling. The Long family was not like a single injury that lingered within his mind. It was just a single Long family back. But Long Fei himself was shaken to the point that he could not even stand straight, and return it back to him multiple times. Instantly dropped to the ground. He thought that since Long family had been for the protection of the golden dragon family, the sea of consciousness would have split apart long ago. Even if he was the last person left, Long Fei looked at Pan Zhan. He could not be underestimated on his body. The power that Long Fei, but on the contrary, was too terrifying. He was excited because the stronger the boss, the higher his drop rate. Looking at the Pangu axe in Pan Zhan's hands, Long Fei said, "It's mine, it's definitely mine." Huff. Huff. Long Fei took 2 deep breaths as his mind calmed down. Yan Huang ancestor said, "You are not their match." Zhang Tianai anxiously shouted, "Long Fei, run faster. Run faster. Don't die for me. Hurry, they will kill you." He couldn't even deal with a single golden immortal ranker, and now with the 5 of them fighting him together, he definitely couldn't. Pan Zhan sneered sinisterly. Fleeing? Flee to hell. Back then, the Long family crushed my Pan clan. Today, I will personally send you to hell. Ha ha ha. Pan Zhan looked at Long Fei, who was standing motionlessly on the ground, and laughed maniacally. Do you know what crime Long family committed in the past? We should not have allowed our Pan clan ancestors to live. We would never have committed such a mistake. If we're going to cut the grass, we must eliminate the roots. Kid, die. Pan Zhan waved the heaven-splitting axe in his hand and shouted, "Panga's war art, sky-splitting strike." Crack! With a slight movement of power, the sky seemed to split open. A wave of energy linked itself to the Pangu axe and produced a dull sound. Power that linked the heavens and the earth. The Pangu axe was able to absorb the energy of heaven and earth, so this was the power of the ancient holy artifact. It absorbed the energy from far, far away, causing Pan Zhan's clothes to flutter as he looked at Long Fei, who was on the ground. "Long family, I'll begin from you." Shwa. He slashed with his right hand. Boom. The heaven-shaking power of the slash came crashing down. At the same time, Long Fei moved. "Old demon, how are your preparations?" The corner of the gravity troll's mouth curled up into a dark smile and said, "Master, I can't endure my thirst. The Pangu axe is really something that can make people excited." Long Fei raised his eyes slightly. At this moment, Yan Huang ancestor and Zhang Tianai continuously urged Long Fei to flee. Long Fei acted as if he did not hear it and excitedly laughed. "The Pan family? Boss. Ha ha." Long Fei's eyes darkened as he roared towards the sky. "Explode for me, old devil gravity." The idea moved, and the broken 18 levels of hell started to shake. The gravity troll slowly stood up. and had already broken more than 800 seal chains on its body. It was incomparably fierce. Long Fei roared, "Give me—" Panjon also roared, "Cut!" At this moment, before the gravity troll could charge out, a power flashed and fell. Buzz. A loud sound echoed out. Immediately after, the energy released by the Pangu axe disintegrated, not a single bit remaining. It was as though it had disappeared in an instant. The power was too strong. At this moment, 360 search. Half floating / equals. Long Fei looked at the sky and saw a figure. Supreme God. With one move, Panjon's power was defeated. Long Fei's mind boiled. This is too damn strong. Chapter 38_8419/2357077. The Supreme God was very strong. The Supreme God was very strong. Long Fei was very clear. Yan Huang ancestor had said that Long Fei's entire strength, when added together, was not his match. However, that was just an idea, and Long Fei did not put it to heart. Now, Long Fei finally understood how strong the Supreme God was. With just a casual wave of force, Panjon, who was holding on to the ancient holy artifact, was defeated. Long Fei was shocked. Isn't he still the strongest in the outer space palace? How strong are the old monsters that are the strongest in the outer space palace? Holy **T. Why am I suddenly so excited? Every cell of his was dancing like an elite, indescribably excited. Because Long Fei's heart became fervent. If we could blow them up, Wakaka, my little heart can't take it anymore. At this moment, Panjon was enraged. He did not even bother to look at the person in the sky as he arrogantly howled, "Who dares to stop me? I'll kill him." Supreme God opened his eyes and said indifferently, "Oh." With this soft sound, Panjon suddenly lost his balance in midair and fell to the ground. The other 4 Pan family elders also instantly fell from the stage. Bang, bang, bang. 5 sounds consecutively rang out, and on the ground, it was like a bomb had exploded, forming 5 deep craters. Panjon could not take it any longer and vomited a mouthful of blood. Long Fei looked through the system. Damn, a critical hit of over 3 million damage. Strong, too strong. He saw a damage figure of over 3 million floating above Panjon's head. At the same time, Long Fei also saw the amount of blood on Panjon's head, and his heart tightened. Motherf *King 30 million HP. He felt a sense of lingering fear. There was a time limit for the gravity troll to appear. If he had forcefully released the gravity troll just now, would he be able to kill Pan-Zhan within the time limit? He didn't know. However, he knew that if he couldn't kill it, the result would be his death. Huff! Long Fei exhaled lightly and said to himself, "Looks like I must not be hot-headed next time." When he said this, Long Fei's eyes were looking at the supreme god. Compared to Pan-Zhan, Long Fei wanted to explode with supreme god more. Compared to the supreme god, Pan-Zhan was extremely weak. However, Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that he could not do it right now, and he was not his opponent at all. He needed to level up, and the Dragon Salyer would need to be upgraded so that they could obtain even more power, and only by continuously leveling up would he be able to continuously obtain more power. Only then would he be able to awaken the power in his body and increase the strength of Golden Dragon Master, Blood Dragon Ancestor, and Black Dragon Ancestor to the peak realm. Everything had to be upgraded. Pan-Zhan's mouth was bleeding as he looked at Supreme God slowly falling from the sky. His heart sank, no matter how foolish he was. He knew who Supreme God was. His strength was incomparable. The arrogant aura slightly receded. Pan-Zhan replied respectfully, "Supreme God." At this moment, Pan-Sheng also quickly walked over and looked at Pan-Zhan. "Great Elder, what exactly happened? Why did you use a Pan-Gu axe?" Pan-Zhan said, "All 100 of the Pan family's elite disciples have died in this brat's hands. Today, no matter what, I will kill him." Pan-Zhan stared deadly at Long Fei. Pan-Sheng looked at Xiang Long Fei, his eyes narrowing, releasing a cold killing intent. He said, "Seems like last time at Thunder Mountains was not enough to teach you a lesson." As Pan-Sheng was speaking, he moved, releasing the qi from his body. Compared to when he was in the Thunder Mountains, the aura on Pan-Sheng's body had become even thicker and stronger. In just half a month, he broke through. Last time, he was defeated by a single strike from Pan-Sheng. Because his cultivation was even more so because of the power of the ancient holy artifact in his hand. This time, Pan-Sheng wanted to step on Long Fei again. However, half a month ago, Long Fei was only in the immortal realm, and the current Long Fei was already in the spiritual Levy 6. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "If you have the guts, come at me." Pan-Sheng grinned. "You're courting death." Shwa! As the Pan-Gu sword in his hand fell, the shocking sword, spirit scattered, and completely crushed Xiang Long Fei. Great sword intent. Long Fei frowned. He cursed in his heart. "Fuck, am I afraid of you?" The fairy stone root crazily released the power of Celestial. Long Fei shouted in his heart, "Rank 5 unparalleled." However, without waiting for him to make a move, Pan-Sheng's body sank and retreated explosively. He was sucked back by a powerful force. Supreme God's voice was slightly angry and said, "Do you still have my existence in your eyes?" Huh! The sound suddenly increased, and a series of berserk sounds resounded in the air. Pan-Sheng's state of mind immediately sank as his sea of consciousness began to churn. It was incomparably uncomfortable, and his entire body instantly bent down as he said, "I'm sorry." Pan-Zhan also frowned and thought, "Looks like Supreme God's power is much stronger than we expected, and more so, he seems to be standing by the Long family's side." If that's the case, the corner of Pan-Zhan's eyes twitched a few times as he looked at Long Fei. In his heart, Long Fei should die even more. Pan-Zhan took a step forward and said, "Supreme God, Long Fei recklessly kills the innocent, has a heart of a demon. He killed 100 of my Pan clan's elite disciples. According to the laws of the God Emperor Academy, he should be executed." At this moment, Zhang Tianai crawled out of the deep pit and roared deeply, "Pan-Zhan, you used the Pan clan elders to kill my entire clan. How can this be counted?" Supreme God's expression slightly darkened as he looked at the fury in Zhang Tianya's eyes. No wonder he was so angry. However, Pan Zhan sneered and said, Zhang Tianai, tell me, do you have any evidence for my Pan clan killing your entire clan? If there is no evidence, then it is slander. Zhang Tianai said, Evidence, ha ha ha. Pan Zhan, do you dare to not admit it? I thought that your sky-separating clan was fair and square, but I didn't expect him to be such a sinister person. You can forget about it for the rest of your life. He really had no evidence. However, he knew that the Pan family must have done it. Pan Zhan raged and shouted, Zhang Tianai, try it again. Zhang Tianai could even disregard his life. So he sneered, so what if you say it 10 times? Your Pan clan will never be able to become the first clan. Not in the past, not now, not in the future. Enough! Supreme God's voice darkened as a powerful force overwhelmed Zhang Tianya's voice and asked, Pan Zhan, you really sent people to kill Zhang Tianya's family members? Pan Zhan instantly denied and said, No. The Supreme God looked at Long Fei and said, You killed the Pan family's 100 examination disciples. Long Fei said, Kill them. It's very easy. They are all just trash. If you dare to do it, you will recognize it, and you will not want some shameful things. Pan Zhan clenched his fists tightly. Floating life. Table of contents. No windows. A++ Pan Sheng. And the elders of the Pan clan were the same. Each and every one of the disciples in the Pan clan were all elite disciples of the Pan clan, and were all the flesh and blood of the Pan clan. However, what Long Fei had said had undoubtedly added oil to their anger, causing them to become even more furious. Incomparable rage. Chapter 48_8419/2357078. It was simply slapping your Pan family in the face. It was simply slapping your Pan family in the face. Slap your face and call you trash. Competent, counterattack. Everyone from the Pan clan was burning with rage. However, no one dared to retaliate because it was because of the Supreme God. If they dared to move recklessly, Supreme God would definitely take action. In Pan Zhan's heart, Supreme God and Long Fei were in cahoots. And in Long Fei's heart, Supreme God was a treacherous, despicable, and shameless big boss. From the looks of it, if Supreme God didn't move, he was definitely hiding something. Just what does he want from me? What is it? What do I have on me? No, it shouldn't be anything I possess. It should be something he wants me to do, or something else. Long Fei couldn't understand. However, he was sure that the Supreme God would protect him now. Even if all the people from the Pan family were to attack him, the Supreme God would ensure that he would not die. Since that was the case, why not use him first? Long Fei looked at Pan Sheng and laughed. Aren't you being a little arrogant in the beginning? Come again. What's more King cocky? Aren't you sky-separating clan arrogant and despotic? Let's try again. Let me try. Giggle. He. Crackle. The air was filled with the thick smell of gunpowder. Pan Zhan almost wanted to swallow Long Fei up. Long Fei laughed disdainfully. You don't dare? If you don't dare, then hurry up and let Lousy off to the side. What bullsh *T sky-separating clan. What a disgrace. He ruthlessly stepped on it, stepping on your face to slap it. And he even hit it loudly. Is that good? Supreme God sneered in his heart, coughed once, and shouted, Long Fei, enough! Pan Zhan immediately said, Supreme God, he is so arrogant in front of you. Just now, he admitted to killing 100 of my Pan clan disciples. Admit it yourself. If you do not punish me, then I, Pan Zhan, will not accept it. While they were talking, Pan Sheng also stood out and said, Master, Pan Sheng is also unwilling to accept this. We can't accept this. The Pan family elders shouted in unison. Zhang Tianai said, The Pan clan disciples are not as skilled as the others. They are all challenging Long Fei to death. In the arena, Long Fei did not break any law. Long Fei laughed. Great principle. Don't say it. You are making them feel awkward. Sky Separating Clan is so powerful. All of them are geniuses. If we add all of them together, they can't even beat me. You all still refuse to accept this. Long Fei laughed contemptuously. If I were you guys, I would have just killed myself with a piece of tofu. I'm so ashamed of you. Panjan's face turned red. His head almost stood up. He was completely humiliated by Long Fei. Indeed, the 100 elite disciples could not even defeat Long Fei. How could they have the face to complain? You still have the nerve to say that you don't accept it. Supreme God's eyes turned sinister. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Although he was unwilling, Panjan could only nod his head and agree. God Emperor Academy, the Tianwu continent's #1 academy. He wanted to borrow the cultivation resources of the #1 academy to train his Pan clan's disciples, but if he wasn't allowed to enter the God Emperor Academy for 3 years, then his plans would be stranded as well. From Supreme God's eyes, Panjan could see the killing intent. The meaning behind Supreme God's words was very clear. The Pan family was not allowed to touch Long Fei within 3 years, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Supreme God looked at Pan Sheng and said gently, "You are now a demon slayer. Your priority right now is to cultivate and break through. In the future, you will need to defend against the giant demon's invasion and not waste your energy on such trivial things. Understand? You are punished to go into closed-door cultivation for 3 years and not to leave the outer space palace for 3 years." Pan Sheng did not dare disobey and nodded. "Disciple will do as you say." Supreme God looked at Long Fei as he said in his heart, "Kid, you have 3 years. If you can't find the Dragon region and the Dragon clan within 3 years, you are of no use at all. When the time comes, even if the Abacus family doesn't touch you, you will still die." His master's lifespan was less than 5 years. If he couldn't find the Dragon clan's secret treasure, he would die of old age. If so, this meant that Long Fei was not the person in the prophecy. There was no use in keeping him. He would get rid of him the same way he did with Long Zhanting previously. Long Fei felt the Supreme God's gaze, and once again asked himself in his heart, "What exactly is it? What exactly is it that he likes on my body? What exactly is the Supreme God hiding? What is the outer space palace hiding? Baidu's sister-in-law, a half. Floating life, strongest upgrade system. Where is the dragon territory? Why did my ancestor of the Long family disappear?" Long Fei asked himself unceasingly in his heart. He secretly clenched his fists and said to himself, "Just you wait, I will definitely solve all of these mysteries." Chapter 5. Today, my daughter had finally retired and her condition had stabilized. She would need to stay in the hospital for a few more days to observe the situation. In the afternoon, I have time to write 5 chapters. 8_8419/2357079. Very arrogant. Very arrogant. Very arrogant. Long Fei was unhappy. Very unhappy. Lu Ba looked at Long Fei's ice-cold gaze and said coldly, "Lame duck, if you have the ability, enter College of Martial Arts training. If you don't, just lie down obediently. If you don't behave, I have plenty of ways to deal with you. Spiritual level. A piece of trash." Lu Ba said in disdain. Long Fei slowly stood up, his fists clenched tightly under his sleeves. He repeatedly warned himself in his heart, "Endure it, endure it, endure it. Furthermore, he is an arrogant, immortal state. Your current strength alone is insufficient. Level." Long Fei secretly tensed up. "My level is too low." Rank was power. Long Fei was currently only a spiritual level 6. and was basically the weakest existence in the God Emperor Academy. Lu Ba saw that Long Fei did not speak anymore, and mocked. "That's more like it." And then Lu Ba's voice was loud, and he said, "Today, the reason I'm here is for you to send a few people to clean the hidden Martial Pavilion, and there are some books that you need to move out to dry. Remember?" Lu Ba's voice suddenly sank and said, "If you dare to flip through the hidden Martial Pavilion's secret skills, I'll dig out your eyes if I find out. If you dare to steal from me, I will make you regret coming to this world. Do you understand?" The hidden Martial Pavilion was one of the most important places in the God Emperor Academy. There were a total of 13 hidden Martial Pavilions: sword skill, saber skill, palm technique, and fist technique. Divine abilities and techniques. Other than the ancient secret techniques, there were also a few divine ranked cultivation methods. Other than that, there were important historical records of them in the Sky Martial Continent. Within the entire Sky Martial Continent, there were many secret techniques of the hidden Martial Pavilion. Long Fei was shocked. The hidden Martial Pavilion is finally about to have the matter of the hidden Martial Pavilion. Sea Dragon King. If I know where the Sea Dragon King is, I can find the Sea Dragon King's blood essence, and I can obtain the second stage of the Open Dragon Domain's heart. Long Fei was a little excited. This was his goal. Lu Ba said, You, and all of you go." In the end, his gaze fell on Long Fei, and Lu Ba said, "You follow along as well." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for coming across the Cleansing Martial Pavilion mission. Rewards: 200 experience points, 100 power of Celestial. Long Fei was excited. The disciples who were chosen didn't have any change in expression. To them, this was merely a strict cleaning mission. On the way to the Martial Repository Pavilion, Xiao Fei, in the future, you better not interrupt when Director Lu is talking, and don't ask this and that. The kick just now was considered light, an old qualified disciple said. He was rather sympathetic towards Long Fei. Long Fei nodded and said, "Thank you, senior brother." The other disciples said, "Why are you talking to him about this? After being kicked a few times, he has a good memory. You're just looking forward to someone getting beaten up, aren't you? We are all logistical disciple. We need to unite and not look down on ourselves." Thinking highly of yourself? Ha ha ha. Rice Bucket, you think too highly of yourself. When you enter the College of Martial Arts Training, will you be able to enter? After entering the sect for the past 2 years, he had been persevering in his cultivation. Was it even useful? You can't even beat me, and you think highly of yourself? Are we qualified to think highly of ourselves? Dajuan, don't talk like that. What is it? Am I wrong? We don't have the right to think highly of ourselves. Who gave us the chance? Who gave us cultivation resources? Other than cleaning up and serving the College of Martial Arts Training like young masters, what else can we do? He's even worse than a servant. Everyone fell silent. Indeed, they had entered the God Emperor Academy with a dream of becoming stronger and had hopes of rising above the masses. It was just like how the students in his previous life had entered the universities that they wished for. But reality, after entering, he became a servant. Not to mention cultivation, he didn't even have the slightest chance, and the temple instantly became hell, or a hell they couldn't climb out of. One step was slow, the other step was slow, compared to the disciples who had entered the God Emperor Academy with them. The weakest of them was the arrogant, immortal state, which was already like the difference between heaven and earth. This was the difference. Long Fei went silent and did not speak. In this world, one would retreat if one did not advance. The heavens simply did not give them a chance to advance. A huge wave smashed down and completely covered their bodies, making them unable to get back up. Xiao Fei, don't listen to the great army's nonsense. Logistical disciple still has a chance. As long as we work hard, we will definitely have a chance. The leader's son said. Dajuan smiled bitterly. Chief, you have already been in God Emperor Academy for 2 years. In another year, you will be expelled. Stop lying to yourself. It's useless. Leader's son frowned. Fan Tong replied. Dajuan. Dajuan also felt that he overstepped his boundaries and said softly, what I said was the truth. I want to change. They all had dreams in their hearts and came to God Emperor Academy in a fit of hot-bloodedness. But what could they do? They were just a handyman that no one thought highly of. Long Fei looked at them, secretly nervous. The entire way, he fell silent. Half an hour later, passing through a small forest was a large open area. 13 pagodas of the hidden martial pavilion entered his view. The martial repository pavilion is not open today. A disciple guard said. Another disciple said, they are all disciples of the Department of Miscellaneous. They came here to clean up. The Clutter Division? Is there such a place in God Emperor Academy? They are all trash. The God Emperor Academy has to recruit some trash every year, so they can stay here to clean up. This is their supreme glory. Other people can't even enter if they wanted to. And you see how their faces are full of pride. They really take themselves seriously. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. A few disciples that were guarding the gate ridiculed him. Go in. All of you clean your hands and feet. If anyone dares to randomly flip through, I won't forgive you. Leader's son smiled apologetically. Don't worry, senior brother. We will definitely not touch anything. And then Long Fei and the others entered the hidden martial pavilion. The leader's son said, we will split the 13 hidden martial pavilion. Not waiting for him to finish, Dajuan said, I will be in charge of the sword arts pavilion. With that, he walked into the sword arts pavilion. Swordplay pavilion hid 108,000 volumes of secret sword techniques. Any cultivation technique that could enter the swordplay pavilion was a high-grade cultivation technique, and any one of them would cause the outside world to tremble. I'll be in charge of the sabersmanship. I will be in charge. No one is in charge of the secret history pavilion. Long Fei looked at the leader's son and said, Senior brother, I will be in charge of the secret history pavilion. The leader's son said, the secret history pavilion has the most books, and the time it takes to read is also the longest. You must gently put it aside. Long Fei nodded his head, his heart already racing. He walked towards the secret history pavilion, looking at the Linglong treasure pagoda that was filled with all kinds of ancient books. Could the clues from the dragon domain be hidden inside? Long Fei's heart was boiling. Equals semi/floating life plus outer space palace. The corner of the supreme god's mouth curled up slightly, looking at Long Fei in the virtual mirror. He laughed. You indeed entered the secret history pavilion and made the same choice as Long Zhanting back then. Long Fei, you better not disappoint me. Chapter 2. First 2 chapters in the morning. There's still an update for today. It will be delivered by tonight. 8_8419/2357081. Back then, the first thing Long Zhanting did after entering the God Emperor Academy was to enter the hidden Martial Pavilion's secret history pavilion. Back then, the first thing Long Zhanting did after entering the God Emperor Academy was to enter the hidden Martial Pavilion's secret history pavilion. He flipped through all the ancient books in the secret history pavilion. He had looked through all the records of the Long family regarding the dragon race. What did he see? Other than him, no one else knew. However, that time, Long Zhanting had almost found the dragon domain. Supreme God looked at Long Fei, who was reflected in the mirror, filled with anticipation. "Kid, what can you discover?" He had sent people to carefully read the hundreds of thousands of ancient books in the secret history pavilion, but they were unable to find anything. In his opinion, perhaps only the people from the Long family could find the secret within. Long Fei entered the mysterious history pavilion and was shocked by the scene in front of him. "Damn, is this still a soul treasure?" From the outside, it looked like a 7-level pagoda. It wasn't too big, but after entering, the space was extremely huge. The spiral bookshelves snaked upwards like a coiled dragon. "Is there a secret of the dragon domain inside?" Long Fei exhaled, walked to the bookshelves, and started to read Savage Immortal Sect's Secret History, Heavenly Empire's Secret History, Sky Martial Continent's Wild History. There were all sorts of books, some made up, some true. Many of them were ancient texts from tens of thousands of years ago. The more time it took for an ancient text to appear on it, the older it would be. After searching for an entire hour, he was unable to find any records regarding the dragon domain or the Long family. Long Fei stepped onto the second floor. He continued to search. The history of this level was about 300,000 to 1 million years, which was not comparable to the number of books on the first level. The longer it was, the easier it was to lose it. On this level, Long Fei still did not find any information regarding the Long family or dragon domain. He stepped onto the third floor, the fourth stratum, the fifth stratum. An entire 4 hours passed by, but Long Fei still did not find any records regarding the Long family's calamity, nor any records about the dragon region. Could Senior be lying to me? Long Fei muttered in his heart. Probably not. He has no reason to lie to me. Long Fei did not look at them one by one. As long as there was the word dragon, he would read it. Every time he picked it up, he would be very excited, but after reading a few books, he would be very disappointed. There are 2 more layers. Long Fei stepped onto the tower and entered the 6th floor. What was different from the previous floors was that the 6th room was extremely small. Every step was filled with a thin layer of power of celestial. What was the realm of the witch? Long Fei could not tell that Yen Huang ancestor was not coming out either. The only thing he knew was that she was very strong, very strong, very strong like that. Long Fei looked around the 6th floor. Other than the young girl, who was looking through the ranking list with relish, there were no other books that recorded Long family S. He walked straight up to the 7th floor. The veiled girl said, "You can't go." Yen Huang ancestor sensed for a bit and said, "You really can't go up." Long Fei did not believe it. He took a step forward, and just as he stepped onto the first step, his body trembled as if a gigantic mountain was crushing down. Buzz! His body was pushed back violently by a powerful force. The veiled girl laughed. "I told you, you can't go. You're too weak." Yen Huang ancestor said, "She is right. You are too weak." "Ancestor, which side are you on?" "They attacked me, and you attacked me? Do you still want to stay in this place anymore?" Long Fei said in his heart. Yen Huang ancestor said, "I am only speaking the truth. You really cannot go up, and what she said is right. You are too weak. At least 100 of you are not a match for the witch in front of you." Long Fei was unwilling to accept this. He rushed forward once again. Buzz! After being forced back again, his mind and consciousness began to churn. "I don't believe it." Long Fei clenched his teeth and forcefully rushed up. The moment he stepped onto the 2nd step, rumble! The massive wave came crashing down, sending him flying backwards. Baidu's sister-in-law, a half. Floating Life's strongest upgrade system. I really don't believe it. This was a boundary. Only those who had reached a certain level could freely enter. At this time, the veiled lady kept her ranking list, walked to the side of the 7th floor, and looked at Long Fei. hold my hand. I will lead you up. Chapter 38_8419/2357082. Long Fei immediately said in his heart, Azure Dragon Ancestor, come out right now. Gold Dragon, Blood Dragon, Black Dragon, all of you come out right now. What exactly is recorded in this history? No one responded. The Azure Dragon, Golden Dragon, Blood Dragon, and Black Dragon didn't respond. They were all silent. This was because it recorded the things they were unable to face, and it was filled with incomparable pain. After a long time, the Azure Dragon Ancestor slightly said, Don't ask any more questions. We won't say anything until you find the dragon domain. Long Fei, you really want to become stronger. I really have to get stronger. It's almost too late. A new calamity is about to befall you. Hurry up and become strong. This is the only way for you to solve all the mysteries. The Azure Dragon Ancestor spoke very seriously. Long Fei didn't understand at all. What new calamity? Tell me, what is it? What is the Dragon Clan hiding? Just who am I? Why is my blood unable to summon the secret history of the Dragon Clan? And why is my blood unable to summon the secret history of the Long family? Who the hell am I? Long Fei felt lost. He was someone of the Long family, and had always been so. However, the secret history of the Long family did not record anything, and the blood could not lie. So who exactly was he? Someone from the Long family? Or were they from the dragon race? Suddenly, Long Fei was furious in his heart. He suddenly roared out, I am me. I am Long Fei. Boom! A stream of power burst out. The veiled young lady's face darkened. A powerful force crushed Long Fei's power and shouted, Are you crazy? Equals half carrot float. Hashtag. Hashtag life. Carrot. You'll destroy these things. Long Fei shouted, If it's destroyed, then so be it. I will not understand. The veiled girl looked at the Dragon Universe map and said, There are some words I can't understand, but this map might be the map to the Dragon Domain. Chapter 4. Today, there were 4 chapters. A chapter was owed. A total of 4 chapters were owed, and they were recorded in a small notebook. 8_8419/2357083. Before she could finish her sentence, the girl took out a pen and a paper and started drawing. Before she could finish her sentence, the girl took out a pen and a paper and started drawing. Soon, her drawing technique and speed were very fast and completely the same. She couldn't find any flaws. It was as if she had copied it onto a sticky paste. Long Fei looked at the Dragon Universe map and thought to himself, Is this the Dragon Domain map? The green dragon did not answer. The blood dragon did not reply. However, his intuition told him that this map was not a map leading to the Dragon Domain, but it definitely had something to do with the Dragon Clan. Dragon Universe? Dragon! Yuan Long. Long Fei thought about it carefully in his mind. Suddenly, his eyes trembled. Dragon also means dragon head. Damn! Could it be the Yuan Long's dragon head? They say that I'm a Yuan Long. Then, is that my head? Long Fei's heart trembled. Azure Dragon, you're me trying to slowly awaken the power in my body. How exactly are you trying to do so? The green dragon still did not reply. Long Fei muttered to himself, Don't tell me you want me to find Yuan Long's corpse and then fuse it bit by bit. This is to awaken my power, right? There was still no answer in his body. Long Fei continued to speak alone. If that's the case, then am I really a dragon? That's not right. I am me. I am Long Fei. Long Fei immediately denied that he was himself. Not just anyone. He was the playboy that had lived on Earth for more than 20 years. He is a transcender. Long Fei reminded himself time and time again it was impossible for him to be some yuan long. However, Long Fei's heart darkened. I need power, I need great power. If I can become the patriarch, if the 10,000 dragons of the dragon race listen to my orders, the Long family will definitely rise. Who in the sky martial continent dares to be arrogant? Kill them all. What's the matter with you? The veiled girl stopped writing. She had already copied the dragon's universe map, and looking at Long Fei, whose eyes flickered, suddenly went silent, and suddenly became excited. You entered here, and it's a little abnormal. Did you discover something? Long Fei shook his head. No, it knows me with these words. I don't know it. Why would I find anything? The veiled girl did not have much time to think about it. She dragged Long Fei and left the 7th floor, saying, It's almost time. Hurry up and go down. The boundary had a time limit. Once someone discovered him, things would be bad. The 7th floor of the Secret History Pavilion was an absolute secret realm. Unless it was the Great Dean, no one was allowed to enter. Buzz. Long Fei was pulled out from the 7th floor by the veiled girl. The two of them still held hands. Her hands were still as cold as ice. She tried again, and this time her idea was still destroyed by the golden dragon. His identity was very important. His identity was very important. In the God Emperor Academy, his identity was even more important. I suspect you of stealing the sword technique. Take off your clothes and check. One of the disciples looked at Fan Tong with disdain. Why are you not helping this daddy out? Fan Tong was very angry, but he did not dare make a move, and said, Senior brother, I really did not steal, I swear to the heavens. The disciple laughed. Swear? What's the use of a vow? Hurry up and take off your clothes. Otherwise, I will arrest you for stealing a secret manual. You know very well what the consequences will be. Kill them all, throw them into the back mountains, and feed them to the dogs. Another disciple mocked him with a face full of mockery. Brat, do whatever we tell you to do. Don't bring trouble upon yourself. At this time, Leader Sun, the army, and a few other logistical disciple all ran up. The Leader Sun said, To Senior Brother S, he is an honest and straightforward person. He would definitely not steal anything. I hope the 2 Senior Brother S can do it. Stealing a secret skill? Unless they really wanted to die. The secret skills in the Martial Repository Pavilion could not be brought out and could only be flipped through and could not be brought out. There was a kind of boundary restriction inside. Every single secret art was recorded in the Library of Heaven's Path. Without permission, it was impossible to bring it out. These 2 disciples were looking for trouble. In their opinion, these were merely logistical disciple, the lowest level existence in God Emperor Academy, and the target of their ridicule. F*CK. Who are you? If you say he doesn't know how to steal, then he doesn't know how to steal. A disciple kicked Leader Sun in the abdomen. The kick was very heavy and directly sent Leader Sun flying. Buffed, Leader Sun spat out a mouthful of blood. Ignoring the pain, he said, Senior Brother, Martial Repository Pavilion is restricted by the boundary. He, a level 9 spirit immortal disciple, is unable to bring out a secret technique. Can you? Bam! He kicked Leader Sun right in the face. His body moved, stepping on Leader Sun's face, saying with contempt, I suspect that he had stolen the secret skill if he did not take off his clothes for inspection. Today, I will make it so that you all will not be able to eat anymore. It was obvious that he didn't want anything to happen, but he insisted on making things difficult for her. And it was to strip naked in front of the crowd. This was not making things difficult. It was just an obvious humiliation. Many of the service disciples did not dare to make a sound. In God Emperor Academy, their position was not even comparable to a dog, even though the Academy clearly forbade bullying, but this was only an order. In this place, you are weak and your status is low. In that case, you are destined to be bullied. Fan Tong knelt on the ground and said, Senior brother, I really didn't steal it. That disciple said, Who can testify? Even if you didn't steal it, I suspect that you have some sort of secret manual. This is also stealing. Fan Tong said, anxiously, I didn't read it either. Huh. I didn't flip through it, right? Just try 2 moves, and you'll know. One of the disciples revealed a playful sneer. Without waiting for Fan Tong to stand up, he kicked it. His cultivation was at the arrogant immortal state, an existence which had completely suppressed Fan Tong. Fan Tong didn't even dare to attack him, and had been kicked away instantly. Not even that. The disciple took a step forward, and without waiting for Fan Tong's body to land on the ground, he kicked in the air, flying out explosively. With a kick, Fan Tong flew tens of meters away. Fan Tong was lying on the ground, blood spewing out of his mouth, his face pale white. He said, I did not steal. I really did not steal. Ha ha. Senior brother, your kicks are not bad. That disciple said while laughing, and did not care about Fan Tong's life or death at all. Didn't I say I could do a series of kicks? In fact, these service disciples are pretty good practice punching bags. The senior brother laughed. That junior brother said, I also want to practice. He glared at one of the service disciples and said, Come here. That service disciple suddenly shrunk and said, Senior brother, let me go. That junior martial brother laughed. I suspect that you are stealing a secret skill. Either you take off your clothes and inspect them, or I will try 2 moves of yours. Otherwise, I will report the matter of you stealing a secret skill. Hee hee. His eyes were filled with contempt. Looking at these service disciples was like looking at a dead dog. They can do whatever they want. They were playing around with him in the middle of the applause. Because they were official disciples, because their identities were different. Leader Sun and the others were service disciples, targets that anyone could bully. The service disciple immediately said, I will take off my clothes. I will take off my clothes. While they were talking, he immediately took off all his clothes and said, Senior brother, I didn't steal it. I really didn't steal it. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear. This was not the first time such a thing had happened. His body was already full of wounds, and he could no longer bear the pain of being beaten up. Taking off his clothes and getting beaten up, he chose the former. Here, he had no self-respect whatsoever. The corner of the junior brother's mouth turned cold, and he shouted, Do you think that you can be fine after taking off your clothes? I suspect you of flipping through the manual. Both fists moved as a shadow of a beast shot out from the 2 fists and attacked the target. Bang, bang. 2 deep sounds rang out. A voice rang out. A voice rang out. A person stood outside the mysterious history pavilion. Long Fei. Everyone looked over and stared at the skinny Long Fei. Sun Data looked at Long Fei and said, He's a newcomer. He doesn't understand the rules. Senior brother, let me take 10 of your moves. The supposed 10 moves didn't involve 2 people fighting 10 moves. But you can't fight back. You can only passively take a beating and get hit by him for 10 moves. Senior brother's gaze turned cold as he laughed in disdain. There really are people who aren't afraid of death these days. With that, he walked up. Sun Data said, Senior brother, he still doesn't know the rules. I'll take it. I'll take 10 moves from you. Bam! The man kicked Sun Datu out and shouted, Scram! As he spoke, he had already walked to Long Fei's side and sneered, You want to take 10 of my moves, right? Sun Datu crawled up from the ground while ignoring the pain and shook his head towards Long Fei. No, no, no. The eyes of those service disciples were somewhat empty. Sun Data rushed to Long Fei's side and said, To Senior Brother S, he is only a spiritual Levy 6. He is no match for you. I am a ninth stage immortal peak realm. As long as you give me the 3-rate fairy vein, I can break through it. That junior brother walked forward, looked at son Datu, and said, I told you to scram to the side. Scram to the side for this father. Don't F asterisk asterisk king court death. Senior brother said, Son Datu, don't be in such a hurry. I'll look for you after I fight with him. Don't worry. I will give you a chance. Long Fei said, Stop wasting time. Hurry up. Son Data held onto Long Fei tightly and said, Xiao Fei. The disciple glared at him. You're in a hurry to be reincarnated, right? Then get down. His voice suddenly erupted. At the same time, he kicked Xiang Longfei, causing the power of the arrogant immortal state to shoot out, a powerful gust of wind pouncing towards Xiang Longfei. Very quickly, it was very strong. His strength was as heavy as his physical strength. Long Fei's eyes turned cold, and in his heart he shouted, Rank 5 unparalleled. The moment the senior brother struck out, Long Fei's figure moved. He immediately threw out a punch, smashing straight towards the senior brother's kneecap. Too fast. It was so fast that it was dazzling, causing one's vision to be unable to keep up. Crack. With a bone-cracking sound, a howling sound similar to that of a pig being butchered rang out. In an instant, the senior brother knelt down while hugging his knees. Long Fei took a step forward, bent his right leg, and ferociously charged the kneecap, striking the senior brother's lower jaw. Crack! Another bone-cracking sound. The senior brother was struck and sent flying into the air. Long Fei's right leg descended. He stood still, and his left leg fiercely kicked in the air. Whoosh! Kacha! 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 Numerous bone-cracking sounds resounded from the senior brother's waist as his entire body flew out. He flew out more than 10 meters and laid on the ground, unmoving like a dead dog. Everyone's scalp was numb. Is he crazy? He actually dares to attack the senior brother. What is the background of this kid? Oh my God, such a fast speed, such a fierce power. How is it possible for the spiritual Level 6 to instantly kill a second-stage Berserker immortal? Everyone was thinking about this in their minds, their expressions one of extreme shock. It was a full 10 seconds before they could react. Long Fei clapped his hands and said disdainfully, 10 moves? To turn into a dead dog in 3 moves, 10 moves more. How boring. He didn't see the frightened expressions of the service disciples at all. From the initial shock to the present terror, because Long Fei had beaten up an official disciple. If this matter was reported, then Long Fei's fate would be very, very miserable. Besides 18 great matrial halls, there was also the existence of a special institution law enforcement agency. They were in charge of the punishment for the God Emperor Academy. Once they were brought into the law enforcement agency, even taking off a layer of skin would be considered light. These 3 moves by Long Fei just now would have very possibly caused him to die in the law enforcement agency's dungeon. Sun Datu immediately pulled Long Fei back and said, You're crazy. He's an official disciple after all. Dajuan cursed angrily. Brat, are you trying to kill us? Do you know what happens when you hit him? You want to kill us all. It's over. It's all over. We're completely finished. Even if you become a service disciple in the God Emperor Academy, you are at least a service disciple in the God Emperor Academy. If today's matter were to be reported today, forget about a service disciple. Being able to live would be considered a blessing of 8 lifetimes. The junior brother stared at Long Fei and said, Brat, you're dead for sure. Long Fei's eyes were gloomy. He stared at the junior brother and said, You also want to exchange 3 moves? After Sun Data heard this, his entire body trembled, and he almost kneeled down towards Long Fei. He hugged Long Fei and said, My little ancestor, please don't cause any more trouble. Those service disciples all begged Long Fei not to be rash. Long Fei was puzzled. Seeing them act this way, he did not understand. So he asked, if they all bully you like this, why didn't they retaliate? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Sun Data said. Status. What identity do we have? And what identity do they have? Any one of the official disciples can easily pinch us to death. If we attack them, we will be offending them from the bottom. The consequences will be very serious. That junior brother was rather frightened of Long Fei, but after hearing what Sun Data said, he immediately became arrogant and said, Brat, I will definitely report what happened today. Just you guys wait. Not waiting for him to finish. This old man will not allow anyone to act arrogantly in front of me. Long Fei's figure moved, and he suddenly made his move. His fists directly struck that junior brother's abdomen. A mouthful of blood spurted out. His body was sent flying backwards. Without waiting for him to stand firm, Long Fei's figure had already landed behind him. She grabbed his neck and threw him forward heavily, falling from the sky. After smashing onto the ground, Long Fei stepped on it. Give this daddy another try. Sun Data stepped forward. He was almost unable to stand up. The other service disciples did the same. Their hearts had already collapsed. It's over, it's all over. If there was a chance of survival at the start, then it's all over now. This person is a madman. Long Fei stepped on that disciple's face and said, You're still arrogant. Official disciple. Is an official disciple that amazing? That disciple's eyes trembled. He was scared, but his mouth was very firm. Brat, you're dead for sure. Today, you're dead for sure. What is your identity? You are only a service disciple. In God Emperor Academy, you are not even comparable to a dog. Humph, just you wait. Long Fei was enraged. What the F***K? Killing intent rose in his heart. Long Fei fiercely chopped down with his leg. Sun Data threw himself at Long Fei and said, We can't kill him. We can't kill him. We can't. In another place, in front of the entrance of the Martial Repository Pavilion compound, Lu Ba angrily rushed over with a few disciples. That disciple also laughed. Brat, if you have the guts, then kill me. Kill me, ah? Even if I give you 100 times the courage, you still won't dare? Ha ha ha. Very arrogant, very proud. Long Fei was angry. Chapter 3. There should be 2 more chapters for today's update. 8_8419/2357089. You little service disciple, you think you're qualified to kill me? You little service disciple, you think you're qualified to kill me? Kill them if you dare. Kill. Kid, even if you kill me, you will die. Not only you, but your family of 9 will also die. Ha ha ha. That junior brother was very arrogant, and at this time, he didn't feel any fear at all. Although he was being suppressed by Long Fei, he was clear that Long Fei did not dare to touch him again. He was an official disciple. Furthermore, Lu Ba had already brought people here, and was just a few dozen meters away. No matter how gutsy Long Fei was, he would not dare to touch him. Of course, he completely didn't understand Long Fei, so if he had, he definitely wouldn't have said such a thing. You dare not kill you, right? After you went down to the underworld and met Yama, you told him that you were killed by someone called Long Fei. The cause of death was not posturing. Long Fei's voice fell. In his heart, he shouted, Golden Dragon Leg. He raised his right foot and stomped heavily on the disciple's head, directly pushing the disciple's head into the ground. Bam! Blood gushed out crazily. Sun Data's face turned white, and his entire body became cold. He shouted out loud while looking at Long Fei, Don't! Fan Tong and the others also shouted, No! Lu Ba glared fiercely and shouted, "You dog, you're dead today." His heart turned cold. This was because Long Fei was a service disciple, and if Long Fei killed someone, even if he did not manage everything properly, he would still be implicated. Not just him. All of logistics department's disciples would be affected. Lu Ba rushed forward like crazy. At this moment, the senior brother stood up after shaking his head for a moment, and then woke up after a short period of unconsciousness, looking at the nearby Long Fei, and then at the little brother at Long Fei's feet. His eyes trembled slightly as he glared at Long Fei and said, "You dog, you actually killed someone in God Emperor Academy." Not waiting for him to finish. Shua, Long Fei's figure moved and instantly appeared in front of that senior brother. He grabbed him by the throat and stared at him with ice-cold eyes. The look in his eyes was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than death itself. The hairs on the senior brother's heart stood. The cultivation of the arrogant immortal state was completely unable to withstand the killing intent coming from Long Fei's body. Killing thought, the killing intent released by Long Fei, was much stronger than the killing intent released by an ordinary person. It was as if the aura of death within the infernal realm had seeped into his heart. Terrifying, terrifying. The senior brother said, I am not outstanding." His legs were already weak and unable to look Long Fei in the eye. Plop. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "Brother, I was wrong. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I am a dog. I am trash. I beg you to spare my life. Spare my dog life. I was wrong. I will never dare to tease them again." Lu Ba rushed to Long Fei's side. At this moment, the 4 official disciples also ran over. Lu Ba immediately kicked Xiang Long Fei. "Are you King tired of living?" This kick was extremely vicious. They carried strength stripes S on their feet, obviously using a lot of strength. "This is the first time. I have endured it. The second time." Long Fei's expression turned sinister. He clenched his right fist tightly and roared in his heart, "Power of the Golden Dragon!" Directly punching Lu Ba's foot with his right fist. Bam! His entire arm was going numb. It had to be said that the strength of Lu Ba's leg was very strong, which also meant that he wanted Long Fei to become disabled with this kick. Lu Ba was in great pain. He retreated a few steps and was secretly shocked in his heart. "I never thought that the brat's cultivation would be spiritual level, but his strength has actually reached arrogant, immortal state. Humph! Even if he is the arrogant, immortal state, he had better die for me. If today's matter is not handled well, I will also be implicated." Lu Ba's gaze darkened as he stared at Long Fei and said, "Kid, you have to pay with your life. Either you kneel down and get sent to law enforcement agency, or you die here today." The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back and lightly said, "You come." His arrogant attitude did not decrease in the slightest. "Endure the first time. Definitely will not tolerate you the second time. If you don't like it, then do it. Sun, Datu, all of you come together and take him down for me. You guys are also responsible for what happened today, so if you don't act now, you will also be punished, and you should know very well that you have killed an official disciple." Lu Ba squinted and sneered in his heart. "So what if you have some power? Just these service disciples will consume a lot of your physical strength and power of celestial. Let's see how you continue to hold on." The expressions of Sun Datu and the service disciples changed slightly. They all looked at Xiang Long Fei. Long Fei also looked at them. He didn't have any expression on his face, but as long as the Sun Data made a move on him, then his brotherly relationship would be gone. Since they weren't brothers, there was only one word to describe them: kill. Sun Data looked at Long Fei and clenched his fists. No one made the first move. The great army urged them, "Leader Sun, if we do not make a move, we will be implicated. We cannot bear the responsibility of killing an official disciple." Sun Data's body suddenly turned, looked at Lu Ba, and said, "Manager Lu, Long Fei did indeed kill the person, but he was forced to do so. He's standing up for us. They insulted us first. It was Long Fei who took action when he could not bear to watch any longer. Please be merciful and spare Long Fei." If it wasn't for Long Fei making a move, then the one laying on the ground would definitely be him. 10 moves. If he couldn't withstand 10 moves, even if he didn't die, he would become crippled. I am grateful to Long Fei in the heart of the Sun Datu. Fan Tong also walked forward and said, "They really bully us first, and we are forced to the point where we have no other choice. Manager Lu, you must uphold justice for us." At this moment, a few service disciples walked up to him and said, "Manager Lu, we were really forced into a corner. Things like today have happened countless times, and they're insulting our self-esteem." Lu Ba glared. "Reject. All of you are rebelling?" Huh. Lu Ba never thought that it would be such a result. All of the service disciples were actually speaking up for Long Fei, not sparing their lives to protect Long Fei. How many days had Long Fei been here? If this continued, wouldn't Long Fei be overturning the heavens? No way. This kid must die. Lu Ba immediately made a decision in his heart. He had to kill Long Fei in order to preserve his current position. "Then let's see how capable you are." Lu Ba's voice shook, and she shouted, "Someone come." The 4 disciples stepped forward and said, "Yes." Lu Ba said, "Capture them. If anyone dares to resist, kill them." At this moment, at the entrance of the Marshall Repository Pavilion compound, a black shadow flashed down and shouted, "Let me see who dares to touch him." The 4th chapter. Today is just 4 chapters. There is a total of 4 chapters in today's book that everyone owes a chapter and a book. My daughter should be able to leave the hospital the day after tomorrow. 8_8419/2357090. Suddenly, a sound was heard. Everyone looked behind them. Long Fei's eyes were filled with unfamiliarity. He did not recognize the middle-aged man at the entrance. Just because he didn't know them didn't mean that Lu Ba and the others didn't know them. Not only did Lu Ba recognize her, she was an existence that he couldn't even touch when he looked up. His face immediately changed into a flattering smile, as if he had seen his father. He trotted over and asked, "Dean 19th, why are you here?" 19th Dean. What was 19? Law enforcement agency was the 19th courtyard, and the principal's name was also 19. He was known as the 19th Dean. He looked to be in his 30s or 40s, like an old scholar. He did not have the aura of a military man, and his entire body was emitting a scholarly aura. However, the feeling it gave Long Fei was actually feminine, an indescribable femininity. 19 looked coldly at Lu Ba and said, "This is none of your business." Lu Ba was startled. He hesitated for half a second and said, "19th principal, this brat killed an official disciple and seriously injured an official disciple. I was just about to go to law enforcement agency to report this matter." "Pa!" Yi Zichen slapped him. Lu Ba was flipped over on the spot, his 5 fingers clearly visible on the palm print. Lu Ba was stunned on the spot. He crawled up from the ground. Not daring to show the slightest anger, he immediately knelt. A sudden slap to the face completely overturned the scholarly appearance of 19. 19 stared at Lu Ba and said, "Scram!" Lu Ba almost peed his pants in fright. He immediately crawled and rolled, and the 4 official disciples he brought along did the same, escaping frantically like they hated this old lady for not having 2 legs. Long Fei was shocked. Sun Datu, Fan Tong and the other service disciples were also stunned. Too fast, their brains could not react in time. 19 did not walk to Long Fei's side. Instead, he stood in place and looked at Long Fei, saying, "When Principal Tsang left, he told me to take care of you. Long Fei, I can only help you once. After this, if you make any more mistakes, I will deal with them harshly." Zhang Tianya's disciple, Long Fei, looked at 19 and said faintly, "Thank you, Principal." 19 looked at Long Fei and said, "Your current status is too low. If you want to obtain recognition in God Emperor Academy, then you must become stronger and you must obtain the status of an official disciple. Otherwise, something like today would have happened." His identity was very important. His status in the God Emperor Academy was even more important. Had not experienced this before, but today he had experienced it. Long Fei said, "How can I become a service disciple? I ask the headmaster to guide me. Unless we get special permission, we are not allowed to leave the God Emperor Academy. There's another way, martial arts." Long Fei was startled. He understood the points required to complete the mission. What is called a martial arts battle? The great army interrupted and said, "Let's not dream of fighting anymore. No one can earn 1,000 points in the competition." Fan Tong also said in a low voice, "The army is right. It's impossible for them to win against those advanced disciples. Leader Sun, let's not talk about the battle. Probably died up there." Everyone's expression became downcast. Martial arts were the cruelest method. Sun Data looked at the blazing passion in Long Fei's eyes and said, "This so-called martial competition is a challenge to a disciple with a higher cultivation level than you, and also..." The space between Sun Data's eyebrows tightened, and he said, "Moreover, the further you go, the harder it is, and the more points you get, and more experts will come out." Basically, not a single person succeeded. Points were accumulated. The more you win, the more points you will have, and the higher your rank in God Emperor Academy. Once you lose, all the points you have will be taken away. It was just like a gamble. A single win or loss would mean nothing. It may be simple in the beginning, but the more points you have, the more people will covet your points. "It's hard," Long Fei muttered. "So it's like that," the Sun Data said. "Not only is it the students of the God Emperor Academy. If your points are accumulated to 800, there might even be an elder who would be willing to accept the challenge. Other than some advanced disciples, who else could be stronger than the elders?" Long Fei became even more excited. Even an elder can participate. Interesting, very interesting. Chapter 18_8419/2357091. It was impossible to earn points from missions. It was impossible to earn points from missions. There were only martial arts battles. Martial arts duels were a challenge to the entire God Emperor Academy, and any kind of rancor would appear. However, Sun Data's explanation was not clear. Long Fei was a new disciple, and also a service disciple. According to the rules of the tournament, only the first-year disciples and the new students could participate, and the older-year disciples were not allowed to. This was the rule. The reason the Sun Data didn't clarify was because he wanted Long Fei to retreat in the face of difficulties, because obtaining 1,000 points in the competition was basically impossible. Long Fei was indeed strong, and was able to crush a second-stage Berserker Immortal disciple. However, these Guardian disciples were only disciples who were slightly better off than them, and were not the real main force. Fighting Arena was filled with fanatics. All of them were elites. Returning to his residence, Lu Ba did not appear again. Long Fei laid on his bed as he thought about what to do next. Martial arts competition is my only path right now. I have to change my identity, otherwise I will be trapped to death here. thinking about the matters of the dragon domain, along with the dragon's universe diagram that kept appearing in his mind. What kind of secrets could not be seen by others in the heavenly hall of immortals after the disappearance of the Long family's experts? Thinking of this, Long Fei couldn't help but ask, "It's been more than 4 years. I have more than 5 years to find the Dragon Clan. I have to find the Dragon region and find the Dragon Clan. I want to find out what the secret is." Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and then he got up and walked into the forest at the back of the mountain. The idea moved. God's devil space. Enchanted. Shua. Long Fei entered the God's devil space, and the idea sank, saying, "Ancestor, open the 9th floor." Yan Huang Ancestor shook his head. "You're really crazy. God's bone taboo, 5th level. Open." After Long Fei entered the 9th floor of the God's devil space, he instantly activated the God's bone taboo. Even though he was currently in the spiritual Levy 6, he still could not withstand the powerful antiphasic force of the 9th floor. 5th level, peerless. Ding. Proficiency plus 13. The moment Wu Shuang released, the power on Long Fei's body started to boil. At the same time, he removed the cultivation techniques in the Qi method column, which were already unable to keep up with the immortal domain. Gravity knife. 1 slash for 10,000 gene. Dragon cellular technique. Dragon chop. Ding. Infinite sword. 9 knives force. Azura. Domineering. Ding. Comprehension failed. Domineering. Comprehension failed. They had placed all their hopes on Long Fei, as the service disciples of the God Emperor Academy had always been looked down upon by others. But no one knows how much effort they put in. No one knew what God Emperor Academy would have become if not for their daily cleaning. No one knew them. It was just like the South Horizon region that had been forgotten. How many people in the Tianwu continent knew of the South Horizon region? How many people knew about the Long family? Long Fei would fight for himself, fight for the logistics department, fight for the South Horizon region. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and said, "I will definitely win. Go to fighting arena." The group walked towards the fighting arena. In another place. Law enforcement agency, 19 small courtyards. He really did sit cross-legged. 3 thin, long swords floated around him. He cultivated the sword's spirit immortal root, so the 3 swords seemed like they had 3 lives. Suddenly, a humming sound came from the sword. Swish! He disappeared. Also at this time, a disciple walked into the courtyard. That disciple hastily walked in front of 19. He did not know that there was a thin sword floating at the back of his head. It was completely silent. As long as 19 idea moved, that slender sword would pierce through his head, killing without a trace. These were the 19 swords, the invisible swords. Reporting to the principal, Long Fei has gone to the fighting arena. 19's eyes widened slightly. The corners of his mouth curled up as he smiled and said, "Finally gone? Caret, half, /float asterisk life. Time to go. If he can't even get the status of an official disciple, how can he complete the grand undertaking of the Supreme God's plan? Long Fei, don't let me down." Chapter 28_8419/2357092. However, if he had a good teacher to guide him, his cultivation would be much faster. The sword technique just now was very similar to the sword drawing arts of the Solitary 9, swords that Long Fei had cultivated. Long Fei thought to himself, "Instructor of the Oya sword, was the sword drawing arts comprehended by you?" Suddenly, Long Fei was very interested in this Oya sword instructor. At this time, Long Fei walked to the side of the war drum and sounded the battle drum. The people from fighting arena were startled again. Why is another newcomer joining today? Seems like a lot of them are fanatics. What's his background? I've never seen it before. Is he a first-year disciple? While they were talking, Long Fei slowly walked down the stairs and onto the stage. He hugged his hands and said, "Logistics Department, no major cultivator, spiritual levy 6, newbie Long Fei." As soon as he said those words, the entire hall went silent. Pucci, one person couldn't hold it in and burst out in laughter. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. At the same time, the people of Fighting Arena all started laughing loudly. Logistics Department, no major? Your main job should be sweeping the floor, right? Ha ha ha. Brat, you came to the wrong place. Do you want a clean Fighting Arena? Are you here to tease me? This is the funniest joke I've heard this year. The disciples of the Logistics Department have come to challenge the Fighting Arena. Are you trying to scare them to death? They were all laughing at him. Long Fei expected it. However, along the way, he had already gotten used to all kinds of jeers. Don't be angry when others were laughing at you, and use your strongest strength to crush them. Then, see if they could laugh. Then, they would discover that they were laughing at their own ignorance. A manager from the Fighting Arena walked over and said, "Are you sure you want to participate in the competition?" Long Fei nodded and said, "I'm sure." They were here to do it. Chapter 3. My daughter has recovered well enough to be discharged from the hospital today. Hai Yang's heart finally relaxed. When she returns home in the afternoon, there will still be updates. Tomorrow, do your best to make up for it. 8_8419/2357093. Long Fei did not win because of his strength, but because of his reaction, which made Lu Meng lower his guard. This was what everyone agreed on. Long Fei wins. Individual score is 5. 5 points. The referee's voice faded. Sun Danian and the others hugged each other and jumped up in excitement. We won, we won. Ha ha ha. Long Fei wins. Just like how Long Fei had won 1,000 points. Long Fei did not walk down the stage and said, "I will continue my challenge. I'll do it. A mere service disciple dares to be arrogant. I'll let you know the power of Fighting Arena." Shua. One of them flew up, his hands formed claws. He landed on the stage and reported his name, then grabbed at Xiang Long Fei's throat. Long Fei withdrew his Dragon Salyer S, and his hands also formed claws. Dragon claws! Boom, boom. After 3 rounds, Long Fei wins. Individual score is 16. 5 points. Long Fei's gaze swept across. Next. I'll do it. A disciple flew up onto the stage. Long Fei wins. Individual score is 305 points. Next. He constantly said next, and constantly saw disciples rush towards the arena, winning 8 matches in a row, and in less than half an hour. This speed was too astonishing. Those who had begun to mock Long Fei could no longer laugh. Upon thinking of how they would start laughing at him, their faces turned hot, as though they had been slapped in the face. Mocking Long Fei, half, /float*, life. They didn't even have the qualifications. Long Fei smashed a disciple down and said, "Next." Wang Qingshan walked forward and said, "I'll do it." Long Fei laughed excitedly and thought, "I have always wanted to try out the lightning sword drawl, chapter 48_8419/2357094. This kid must have been bewitched by teacher Oya's beauty. Aoya's eyebrows tightened. Her eyes were staring at Long Fei with even more coldness, and the swords of some of the surrounding disciples began to tremble intensely, an intense sword hum. Long Fei acted as if he didn't see it and continued to stare at Aoya. Her chest was big, buttocks were upturned, and she was dressed in tight clothing, and it was even that kind of teacher's attire. Uniform 01? These were not the reasons that Long Fei was shocked. He was shocked because Oya was very, very similar to one of the heroes in the 101's The Teacher Skin Grand Duelist. Grand Duelist Fiona. And at this moment, ding, affability level 100 points. Ding, congratulations to player Long Fei for coming across the 8 Great Vajra mission and taming Great Sword Master Aoya. Do you wish to accept? Mission level S. Time of mission 1 year. Task reward 100,000 experience, 10,000 power of celestial, 101 hero skills, 1 move available for free. Oh, Long Fei was stunned. Wakaka, she's one of my 8 Great King Kong. The Grand Duelist, the Sword Force King Kong. Oh my God! Long Fei was boiling, incomparably boiling. His eyes were burning even more as he looked at Aoya, staring at her with eyes that were getting colder and colder, as if he could kill him at any time. Ding. Affability level, 100 points. Current affability level, 199. Long Fei did not care about the affability level. His eyes stared straight at Aoya without any fear. He said extremely tyrannically, "You are mine now." As soon as he finished, the entire arena was shocked. Everyone was thinking, this kid is going to die soon. This is crazy. He's really crazy. Wang Qingshan's face also darkened, signaling for Long Fei to stop talking. Long Fei acted as if he did not see it and faintly smiled. "You must be mine." Walala! The entire audience was in an uproar. Aoya's gaze became even more terrifying and sinister. The surrounding sword cries suddenly became heavier. The sword intent all disappeared, but there was a powerful sword intent rushing in from Long Fei's sea of consciousness. Aoya glanced at Long Fei coldly, then said to Wang Qingshan, "Go back." Wang Qingshan's heart relaxed and immediately walked down the stage. Oya turned around and left without saying a word. As Long Fei watched her figure recede into the distance, the corner of his mouth hooked up as he laughed excitedly. Grand Duelist is too intrepid. He also knew that Aoya was not a Grand Duelist. However, I really want to, if he could create another set of Origin Formation armor for him. Long Fei was so excited that he could no longer think about it. Furthermore, when he checked the quest and saw the reward of 101 hero skill, he seemed to have gone crazy. If the Sword Force King Kong is a Grand Duelist, then who is the arrogant knife King Kong? It couldn't be the Barbarian King, right? It contained the powerful power of the heavenly bone. Every bone contained explosive power. Devil Body had become incredibly ugly. The uglier he was, the stronger his power was, and the stronger the power of Heavenly Bone was. The power of the Sky Demon physique that Long Fei had not used before was all used for cultivation techniques. What realm did his current god's Devil Body strength reach? Long Fei did not know either. Infinite Sword. Long Fei moved. The Devil Sword in his hand moved along with him. Sword drawing style. Buzz. The sword intent raged, and the sword chi was released like a crazy steam. The infinite sword against the Grand Duelist, the sword saint against the heavenly sword goddess. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Long Fei's heart started boiling. His battle intent began to blaze as well. He definitely had to bring out the might of a sword saint during the battle tomorrow. Sword drawing arts. Ding. Proficiency plus 12 points. Infinite Sword. Holy Sword 81 moves. Ding. Other than Long Fei, who was cultivating in the proficiency, his brain was not idle at all. He was also trying to comprehend the even stronger sword intent in the Infinite Sword. He believed that there was still an even stronger sword intent. In another place, in Wang Qingshan's courtyard, he did the same action again and again. Pull out the sword. Again and again. There was no end to it. Aoya told him to practice for 10,000 times. He had already reached this number, but he still didn't stop and continued to train. He wanted to win. He had to win. He wanted to protect the goddess. Equals semi. Slash floating life plus. What Long Fei had said infuriated the deepest part of his heart. Wang Qingshan's right hand moved as the long sword flew out, slashing out a sword intent. He said solemnly, "Only a true expert worthy of teacher Aoya, a service disciple, is not yet qualified. Not even the slightest bit. I will beat you down tomorrow." Chapter 18_8419/23570096. Early morning. Early morning. The fighting arena had already become a sea of people, bustling with noise and excitement. The news of Long Fei winning 8 matches consecutively and confessing to Aoya in one night had already spread throughout the entire first grade. Many people were filled with righteous indignation, wanting to see who dared to snatch the goddess away from them. Let's see who the F***K doesn't want to stay in this place anymore. How can a service disciple confess to Goddess Aoya? This is insulting our College of War Martial Arts. Blasphemy against the goddess. We will not allow it. I have to crush him no matter what happens today. I want to beat his shit out of him and make him kneel in front of Teacher Oya to apologize. The fighting arena clamored intensely. Many people's faces were filled with anger. In their hearts, Aoya was an existence that could not be desecrated by the goddess. If you weren't an absolute expert, you wouldn't be worthy of confessing to her. He had to at least have the cultivation of golden immortal rank to be qualified. However, they were all wrong. Confession didn't care about your cultivation level or how strong you were. What it cared about was whether or not you dared to do anything. You were destined to fail for life. As long as you dare to do it, you are a step closer to success. Of course, Long Fei and Aoya was extremely far away, so this small step was insignificant. He's here. Wang Qingshan is here. He really came. Wang Qingshan walked into the training grounds, and many people looked over. At this moment, the aura coming from Wang Qingshan's body was somewhat different from yesterday, and stronger. Compared to yesterday, his comprehension of sword intent had increased by another level. He had already cultivated the sword drawing style to the point of shocking ghosts and gods. Senior Brother Wang, beat him to death for the sake of Goddess Aoya. Senior Brother Wang, you must avenge our College of War Martial Arts and beat that service disciple back to his original form. I must make him look good. Wang Qingshan was expressionless. Today, his purpose for coming was to trample Long Fei beneath his feet. It was also at this time, in another place, Long Fei, Sun Datu, Fan Tong, and the army of 6 or 7 all walked into the fighting arena wearing the clothes of service disciples. A lower grade. His status was low. The people of fighting arena could tell at a glance. That kid is here. He really is a service disciple. I thought he was a fake. Servant disciples should do your job properly, running to fighting arena and being cocky. This is not a place for you to be cocky. Kid, I will definitely not let you win again today. Servant disciples, get out. Compared to yesterday, today he mocked even more. Even more so. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and said coldly in his heart, "Let's see if you can still laugh in a bit." Sun Data reminded him, "Long Fei, don't be affected by them. Be yourself." Long Fei said, "Thank you, Leader Sun." Finished. Long Fei then walked towards the fighting arena's stage. Servant disciples should clean up properly. Who gave you the courage to confess to Oya? What right do you have to say something like that? Get out. This is not a place you can stay. A good service disciple should not be so good, yet he wants to become crippled. If he didn't take a step forward, it would attract countless jeers and hoots. Long Fei was unhappy, very unhappy. However, he was patient. The best way to deal with these taunts was to ruthlessly crush their opponents in the arena. Wang Qingshan also walked towards the stage. As he slowly walked over, Long Fei looked at the distant Wang Qingshan, and his heart was secretly shocked. In a short night, the aura around his body became a lot stronger. It seems that Aoya is quite capable. That's right. How could one of my 8 great King Kong be a mediocre person? Long Fei laughed in his heart. When he thought that Aoya was one of the 8 great King Kong, he couldn't help but become excited. He thought that the 8 great King Kong were all male, but he didn't expect that the Sword Force King Kong was actually female. Furthermore, it was a grand duelist-type woman. Very strong. The strong ones exploded, almost at the same time. Long Fei and Wang Qingshan walked up the arena. Wang Qingshan changed from yesterday's low-key and looked at Long Fei. I will trample you underfoot. I will use the sword in my hand to make you pay the price for desecrating teacher. Very powerful. Long Fei looked around with a slight smile and said, Your teacher didn't come. Wang Qingshan said, Teacher will not waste his time in a place like this, nor will teacher waste his time on a mere service disciple. I don't care who you are or what kind of background you have. I want to tell you one thing. You don't have the qualifications to confess to my teacher. Because of your identity. Not worthy. Anger burned in his eyes. Long Fei's eyes were also brimming with anger, the corners of his mouth hooked up, and he coldly said, You're not worthy, are you? Wang Qingshan said. A service disciple should have the awareness of being a service disciple. In the history of the God Emperor Academy, there has never been a service disciple who could become an official disciple. Even you cannot. Disdain could be seen in his eyes. The people around the arena were the same, their eyes filled with contempt. They disdained it. Servant disciples would never be able to make it onto the stage. Long Fei's smile remained, and he said, Then let's begin. I will let you know what qualifications are used, and how it is used to break history. He didn't want to continue talking. He was extremely unhappy. Wang Qingshan let out a light breath, and the aura on his body turned cold.